What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the studio. We got it all hooked up. We put a lot of work into this, and we think it looks pretty good. It's going to be an ever-changing evolution. Improvements, changes,
yeah, this is the first show in the new studio room for non-alcohol and
non-cigars.
Non-cigars.
Because
we'll do some drinking. But if it's bar related, when we got to mix drinks, we'll be at the bar.
I'm drinking right now.
If it's mixed drinks, then we'll be at the bar. If we're mixing drinks and making them up.
Exactly. So we got a great show for everybody today. If you didn't notice, it's not coming out on May the 3rd. It's coming out on May the 4th, so that we could say, May the 4th be with you. Star Wars. Star Wars episode.
It's a trap.
Ah, nice. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
She's your sister, Luke. Anyway, that's what our show's on, so stick around. It's going to be interesting. So, let's kick it off. So Star Wars starts off when you talk about the originals.
Yes.
The original. A New Hope. What is the first line that appears?
I don't know.
Long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Well, okay. I think that's on all of them, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but that's the very first line of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So the question is, a long, long time ago, you had to have been there, right?
Oh, I was... Actually, the first one came out, I think, the year or...
No, I'm talking about the actual Star Wars.
No.
You had to have been there a long time ago.
But I believe the first show came out before I was born. Or maybe even the same year I was born.
You know, I don't know why.
We didn't do any research as far as writing down any dates.
78, I think?
I thought 72 was the first one.
Man, I should have looked that up.
I could be wrong. Maybe it was 78, because I might have been a little bit older.
Oh.
I think our producer's looking it up for us.
Yes, I do believe she's looking it up. But the original
So flash us some gang signs here in a minute.
77.
77. So yeah, I would have been 5.
You'd have been 5. That's when the movie came out, but the Star Wars themselves.
Yes.
You used to hang out with R2 and C-3PO and stuff?
Yeah, mostly the big guy.
Oh, Jabba the Hutt?
No.
No. Darth Vader?
Dude, I'm drawing a blank on everybody tonight.
Oh,
Chewbacca.
So we're gonna mainly talk about the original trilogy, and then the prequels. We're not talking about the new ones. No, we're not talking about the Kathleen Kennedy murder job. But we're also not going to go into the extended universe because I don't think he knows too much about the expanded universe.
I know.
Yeah, when it comes to the books and a lot of the shows.
I have seen the original 3.
Yep.
And I've seen the prequel.
Yep.
The 3. Mm-hmm. And I think I've seen parts of the 2 after that, which would be, I guess, 7 and 8.
Yep.
I've seen The Mandalorian.
Yes, good. But you haven't seen like the Book of Boba Fett. I haven't seen Obi-Wan or Kenobi,
Han Solo. I haven't seen any of the series.
Standalone movies. Yeah,
any of the other series. I haven't watched a lot of that. Now I've seen pieces, but not the whole thing.
Oh man, I'm drawing a blank now. So you had Solo, which was a Solo movie. Then you had the other one, which was like taking place right before the beginning of A New Hope, where they steal the plans for the Death Star. Which was those were great movies. They were really, I don't know why Solo got such a bad rap. But Solo got such a bad rap because of the last couple of movies that had come out before it with the Kathleen Kennedy era, that everybody kind of turned their back on it. So when Solo came out, everybody was like, I'm not.
Did you watch it?
It was good.
I keep saying one day I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch them from the first show through every one of them in order, even the series.
Yes. And
put them where they need to be placed. But I just haven't had that kind of...
Yeah. Listen, I have a lot of time on my hands, so I've done it. I recently did a whole playthrough except for some of the TV shows. Like I didn't put in Bad Batch, which is the animated show. I didn't put in the Mandalorian and stuff. I just watched through episodes 1, 2, and then the cartoon, the animated series, the Clone Wars, which has Ahsoka as a young Padawan and Anakin training her. And let me tell you something, man. The way that show hit, then the last episode going into episode 3 when he turns into Darth Vader, whoo, it hit hard. It hit really hard. It was good.
Yeah.
But so the original trilogy. There's a lot of people who talk about how they're better than all the other ones. And in certain cases, I agree. It's the story, because it's story driven.
Yeah, well, for me personally, yes, I think the first 3 were better. I think they were written more for an adult audience. I like that they were darker and grainier and more, just more how you would, I don't know, they just had a vibe that I dug.
Yeah.
And the new ones are so colorful and vibrant. Then they got some silly characters. Like they've
Jar
always had,
Jar, yeah.
I mean, even the Ewoks and stuff were kind of silly. And they've had some other characters that were a little, odd. But,
yes.
I don't know, like the Jar Jar Bases, and then there's a few others that were just not my cup of tea.
So I like the way that in the original trilogy, the story. So you had a New Hope, and you had Help Me Obi-Wan Kenobi, You're My Only Hope, and you had C-3PO and R2. C-3PO for me in the original A New Hope, C-3PO was kind of Jar Jar. Not as bad, but just I found him a little, especially like early watching him when I was a kid. I was
Yeah, he could be a little bit annoying.
Yeah. But once you start watching it, you get over it really quickly. Jar Jar, you didn't get over that much.
No, you didn't.
But then it's got, the thing about Star Wars is the quotes. There's so many quotes in those movies. Yeah. It's like, I'm looking for Ben Kenobi. Do you know Ben Kenobi? Or Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's asking Ben Kenobi. He goes, of course I do. That's me. It's just like all these quotes that you see on the internet, and Star Wars is just full of them. Even a lot of them are from the prequels. But
well, you know how much we love movie quotes.
Yes, constant. Can you remember the first time you saw the originals?
Not really. I was probably, ironically, they came out when I was little, but I don't remember if I ever got to see them as a kid, because my parents took a hiatus on TV. Well, they still do, sort of. But they pretty much, from the time I was in 4th grade until I was 18 and moved out on my own, we did not have television. We weren't allowed to go. I mean, I'm not saying we didn't go to movies, but we weren't supposed to go to movies. So during that whole, era, we would have had to go to a drive-in, and we were just kids, so that would have never happened. Because back then they didn't have movie theaters like they have now. At least none that I ever knew of. All of them were just drive-ins.
Man, when we lived in Alabama, we had a drive-in we used to go to. It was awesome. I miss that.
In North Central Florida, they had a lot for a while. You could go to a few different towns. They had drive-ins, and drive-ins to me there's just something special about it.
If you have a drive-in movie theater close to you, go experience at least once. It's it's great, especially if it's like the cooler months of the year where you don't have to have the AC going. It's wonderful. I loved it.
So as a younger person, you being a little younger than me, what did you think? What would you rate? Did you like the original 3?
Oh yeah.
Or did you like the prequel?
Well, I love the original 3. The original trilogy. There was just something about them. The way that it was written, because the first movie you have just everything being explained, and you're like, oh wow, this is crazy. And then they blow up a planet, and I'd never seen that before. And I know it's a movie, but they blew up a planet with the Death Star. That was wild.
Well, the other thing that I never liked is I've always been a little fan of the villains.
Yeah.
And Darth Vader was epic.
Oh,
he was just this epic villain. And then I thought when they came out with Darth Maul, I thought, this guy looks the part. He's incredibly. It's just a cool look.
They put so much into it.
I just thought they blew it.
They put so much into this character that they built up for years. Ray Park was the guy who played him, and they just showed it for years and like a year or two. All his training, all his stuff, all his fighting, and I remember it because I was in high school when it came out.
He had the black and red skin.
Yeah.
He had the horns. He had the dual-sided lightsaber, which nobody else had ever had. I don't think up to that point.
Well, not in the original movies. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just thought, in the books or the animated.
It was just so good.
But I just thought, man, this could be so cool. And then they just killed him off so soon. And
So
I just was disappointed.
But before we get there, I mean, like you had the first movie where they introduced everything, showed the Death Star blowing up a planet, and then they had kind of a draw at the end. You know, they blew up the Death Star, but there was still a draw because both sides retreated. You know, and then you have the opening of the second movie, which was The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And you have this whole movie where they open at Hoth, they open in this ice planet, and then the rebels are getting their butts kicked, and they have to retreat. And the second movie, the bad guys win. So Han Solo gets locked in carbonite. You know, what's his name, Lando Calrissian turns against them when they're in the Cloud City, and they're all of a sudden Darth Vader's there, and I mean, how badass is Han Solo?
Slaves, and wears the outfit that we've all loved our whole life.
Everybody, I don't know anybody who hasn't.
You know,
but how badass is Han Solo? That door opens, and there's Darth Vader, and everybody's shocked. And what does Han Solo do? He pulls out his blaster and starts going. Yeah, I mean, of course Darth Vader's like, stop. But how badass is that? He just starts blasting. So you have this evolution. The way the movies, the originals went, it was so... I hadn't seen anything flow like the way it did. You know, not only was it futuristic in the sense of the early times, they had all the animatronics and they had all the puppets and stuff like that. And then they turn around and they have a story where there's a draw, then the bad guys win. You're like, what the hell is going to happen?
And nothing against Obi-Wan Kenobi in the prequels, the original or the first three.
The original trilogy.
No. The original trilogy.
Yeah.
The 4, 5, and 6. Yeah. Han Solo was just
Han Solo was Han
Solo. Obi-Wan Kenobi was just awesome. The old guy that played him.
The old guy. Yes. And then the
new one, I kind of lost a little. Who was that? Ewan McGregor. Is that who played
Ewan McGregor?
Obi-Wan in the 3.
No, I can't. No, absolutely wrong. Ewan McGregor was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he was spectacular.
I thought he was all right, but I like the old guy.
Can't chill with you on that one.
Yeah, well,
can't do it. Because Ewan McGregor, I mean, he played. Oh man. Yeah, I can't hang with that one. No, absolutely not.
Me personally, I like the old guy.
Man, Ewan McGregor. I mean, from day one, from the very first episode, from episode 1, when they're going to Naboo and they're trying to help stop a war, and Ewan McGregor's like just awesome. That I can't. No, man, he's Obi-Wan.
Now Liam Neeson was he was awesome. I liked him.
There is so much lore. I wish you knew some of the lore that goes into it, because like Liam Neeson's character.
I used to know Tracy lore. She's in movies.
She was in the adult movies. Those were in the movies.
That wasn't her name either.
It was Tracy Lords.
Yes,
I think. Yes. But when you talk about Liam Neeson's character, it was Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon was a quintessential Jedi where he believed in nothing but the Force.
Yeah.
So he believed the Force knew above anything else. And whatever the Force wanted, he wanted to help it happen. To make it even, because even when he brought Anakin to the council's like, he's too old, you can't do it. He goes, well, I'm training him. Yeah. He was like, I don't care.
And they did bring some cool characters out in the 3. Qui-Gon Jinn. Is that who I'm thinking?
Yeah, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and then you got
Mace Windu. Oh, yes. I thought another underutilized character.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, you got Samuel Jackson, and you only use him to that level.
Yes,
it's crazy.
I mean, so when the prequels came out,
I think that's the biggest problem. I think in the first 3, which were technically the later ones.
Yeah.
I think they underutilized some of the amazing characters and storylines they could have used just to focus so heavily on the Anakin story
and Jar Jar
and Jar Jar, and I think that they lost it with Mace Windu and with the Sith Lord, whatever he was called, I forget.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul, yeah.
Yeah. So, I love the prequels. I was in high school when the first one came out, and I remember going to the midnight showing on Thursday night. And I remember going, and I was, of course, I was annoyed by Jar Jar a little bit. I thought the pod race was a little bit long. I was thrown off with the Metachlorians because that was never mentioned before. So everything was but it was amazing. I was blown away by the whole thing.
You were in middle school.
I was in high school.
It came out in 99.
That was high school.
Did you have to pick him up from
I
daycare?
graduated.
98, I was a freshman.
No, I graduated in 2000. Sean was born in 2000.
Oh, you're right. 98. I was graduated.
Yeah. So our producer just did a little time check on me.
Age check.
And was wrong. Apparently.
So in 99 when it came out, I was in high school. I went to the midnight showing. And I was blown away by the movie. But the thing was, I knew about Jar Jar. Jar Jar, here's the problem with Jar Jar. He plays such a pivotal role in the fall of the Republic that they had to give him enough showing. But I think they did it in the wrong way.
Who is it that goes, oops, did I do that?
That was Urkel. Steve Urkel.
Jar Jar's an Urkel.
Yeah.
It's almost like he caused the fall of the Empire and stood back and went, oops, did I do that?
Yeah.
He screws up and it works in favor.
The craziest thing is there's this theory that says he's a Sith Lord. Because everything he did caused the chaos and that he was possibly... I don't believe the theory. That theory is never one that worked for me. But there are other theories that definitely do. But he played such a pivotal role in the fall of the Republic that they needed to try to show him in the job, in the role. Of course, I think they did it the wrong way. But then in the second movie, when Anakin was bigger now, and you had Padme, and you had the whole love story, I love that movie. I thought, what was it, Clone War? Was it Clone War? What was the second one? It was Clone War, I think. Now, here's the messed up thing about that.
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. There you go. Thank you. Clone Wars was animated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Attack of the Clones. I was in basic training when that movie came out, and I had a drill sergeant. I would love to see him one day, old man now, watch this episode and hear me talk about him. He went on. It was starting at Wednesday. He's like, I'm going to see Star Wars this weekend. I'm gonna tell everybody. I'm gonna tell you all about it. And I was like so upset that I wasn't gonna be able to see it. He went. He came in Sunday. He woke us up early, and so we, what we used to do is toe the line. You have like the tile. That's all. It was whatever. It was not tile, but what's it called? It's like tile, but it's cheap.
Oh, linoleum.
Linoleum. So you had to go and you had to line up, put your toes up to the line of the linoleum, and he's like, he just walks around looking at everybody. He's like, I need to tell you guys something, and he walked up to somebody, and I don't even remember. He goes, Yoda fights like a rabid dog, and he just went off and like said some of the stuff that happened and I was just like, please don't ruin it, please don't ruin it, please don't ruin it, and it was just like I couldn't wait to get out of basic training to see the damn movie. But I had to have been in AIT after I graduated basic training when I finally saw it. And I loved it. I liked the prequels. A lot of people had issues with it. A lot of people didn't like it. I like the prequels.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't like them. They're entertaining. They continue the story. Well, they tell you the beginning of the story. I just thought some characters were underutilized. Some were unnecessary, or at least overly done. But I just say in the order of first three or the second three, I liked the original three.
And that's tough.
From the 70s. even the ships. Everybody talked about how all the ships are so much cooler looking in the new one. They were more sleek. I love the ships of the old one.
And I like
the Millennium Falcon, even the Starfighters, even Darth Vader's ship.
X-Wings,
all of them were
Y-Wings,
awesome.
all of them.
And then I thought the new ones, they kind of got kind of boring.
I love the fact that in episode 3, after he turns into Darth Vader, they did do that. They went back to the old uniforms. They showed the old uniforms. They showed the old ships. I love the way they did that. Yeah. I mean, I think George Lucas is brilliant. I think all the originals and the prequels were great. I think a lot of the expanded universe, I've read a lot of the books. And some of the comic books, seen most of the shows. I think I love Star Wars.
You can't not love it. I mean, it's pretty much one of only a few things you can talk to me about where a little bit of my inner nerd starts popping out.
And I go a little bit far with it, but yeah.
That and probably Marvel, which you guys always... I have this thing where I remember the overview of it, not all the minute details. Now I'll remember catchphrases and certain things, but you guys get so much more into like the timeline. And, oh no, that little piece happened before this little piece.
Yeah,
I don't know all that. I don't pay that. I watch it and I understand it at the time, and then it just gets gray and fuzzy years later.
Well, I mean, when you have an old brain, it happens.
Now, to prep for the show, I did go back and watch the
Prequels.
The original 3.
You did?
Yes.
When did you see those?
I watched them by myself.
Oh, nice.
What was that, babe? You were in the room, I think, or doing something, and I watched the... I fell asleep and slept through most of the second. I watched the first, which I've seen so many times, I don't even know why I didn't just skip that one and watch the second and third. But I watched the second one, slept through a good portion of that, but I watched the whole third one.
Third one was so good.
That's Carbonite one, right?
Well, that's when the second one is when at the end he gets put in Carbonite. The third one is where
so I watched the third one.
Yeah,
where
Luke and Leia kill Jabba.
I saw him get put into it right at the end, so I must have woke up for that part of the end.
Here's an interesting thing. You know why they did that? You know why they put him in Carbonite? They did it in Carbonite because Harrison Ford wasn't sure if he was going to do the third movie. So there was a little bit of an issue with their contract.
So they might have needed to leave
him
in
Carbonite. They needed to have an out for him. And then your theory that you've heard about the Carbonite, about Indiana Jones, that part?
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool theory.
I saw that on YouTube. Somebody was talking about it, how they think that Indiana Jones and Star Wars have a crossover, that Indiana Jones is Han Solo's dreams while he was in Carbonite.
Like a fever dream.
Yeah, because there's mention in little Easter egg kind of things in Indiana Jones, and even in Star Wars, I guess, that tie the two together somehow.
Yeah, so I've never heard that.
No, I haven't done the research. I just saw the video.
I mean, it's a pretty good theory, though.
It would be kind of cool, right, to find out that Indiana Jones was Han Solo's dreams of
fever dream of being in
old
Carbonite
days.
So, and so you had A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and then you have I can't remember what the last one was. Return of the Jedi. That's when.
Are you looking at them, or you just remember? I thought, damn girl, you sharp. That's my girl.
Our producer out nerded us.
She's reading it.
So you have Return of the Jedi, where Luke comes and saves.
I was so proud for a minute.
But going to the thing you were talking about with the quotes, all those movies have such incredible quotes. Like you have A New Hope. You have you're short for a stormtrooper. And you have there's so many I can't even think of them all right now.
Yeah.
You scruffy hearth nerder, where she calls Han Solo that.
Uh-huh.
I'm more partial personally to the prequel quotes because that's what I saw the most of. The originals had some good ones too. These are not the droids you're looking for. It's great. All of them had great quotes.
And then, all of us that were from the era of the first 3, we ran around talking into fans going, Luke, I am your father.
You know, that is one of the most misquotes of all time.
I know, he says it different, but that's what people say.
It's funny how that is the most misquoted quote of all time.
Because they changed the quote to be a little easy. I mean, kids, you gotta remember, kids' minds are kids' minds.
Yeah.
But it meant the same thing.
Yeah,
it's just easier to remember.
It's just an interesting little tip. I have so many.
I remember when I watched it just the other day, thinking, "Oh wow, that is so different than what we said." But it means the same thing.
He says, it's true. I'm your father.
Yeah.
Yeah, But the prequels, there's so many quotes. Let me ask you this. Let's go into this. In the originals, do you have a favorite scene or a favorite event that happens? Because it's a tough question.
I love it when they're flying the, what are they, starfighters? I forget what
the
they call
X-wings.
those. Yeah, I love it when they're flying the X-wings and they got to put the one shot down the little tube.
Yeah,
Everybody loves that,
and he says,
right?
use the force, and he had to turn. He had to just use the force. He closed his eyes, and
I think everybody loves the scene where Luke Skywalker shows up in the swamp.
Oh yeah, with Yoda. Trains with Yoda.
Even though Yoda was a pompous blowhole back then, man, he was just a little twitchy dude.
Yeah, but
you loved him.
But then at the end, he calmed down. It was kind of like a test.
It's almost like that age-old relationship between an athlete and the coach, or a drill sergeant and a soldier. You know, it's that you hate them.
Yep.
But they're eventually you realize they're making you better. At what you are. But there's those. Then I love it when Han Solo has to cut open the tauntaun and climb inside and put Luke inside and keep him warm.
Yeah,
that's a classic. I love the whole Jabba the Hutt, the whole Carbonite,
and it was
Princess Leia. That whole scene.
It was so awesome because those were actually puppets. More puppets worked on Star Wars. I think the only show that more puppeteers worked on was the Crystal something. The Dark Crystal. I think the Dark Crystal is the only other movie where there were more puppeteers working other animals and stuff.
I also loved when they were in, I think it's the second one, where they were with the Ewoks, right? That was the
third one.
Third one?
Yeah.
Where it's basically the stormtroopers and them, and they're on the motorcycle bikes, and they're whipping through the woods, and they
just snatch them off and stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, that was a really cool scene, because I love chase scenes, and anything that looks like a motorcycle I kind of dig.
And the AT-ATs where the logs came in
I'll
and crushed them.
the new ones one thing. That bike he rides, in that one, I forget exactly where it is in the new ones, but that motorcycle type thing he rides,
Kylo,
it was pretty badass.
Now I'll say this. Before we get back into talking about the prequels and stuff, we'll give a little honorable mention to the latest movies. The latest movies were visually stunning.
Yes, the cities were. The first one was very dark, a lot of dusty, moon cities,
literally
or desert cities, and the new one was more royalty, and utopia style, and so much more colorful.
Yeah,
and that underwater city.
Oh no, I'm talking about the new movies, like
The sequels.
The newest
prequels.
ones. No, the newest ones.
I haven't
Kathleen
seen them.
Kennedy.
I haven't seen them.
No,
you're talking about the ones with
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. Yeah. I've seen those, but I haven't really watched them from
they're not.
to end.
I just mean that the one thing that they did well is they're visually stunning.
I was talking about the prequels when they showed the cities.
Now, going back to the prequels, at the time, the prequels were, it was like you said, the utopia. This was the highest point of the Republic.
Yeah.
And then the Gungan Water City.
That was badass. That was pretty cool.
I love how chill Qui-Gon was while they were doing the whole thing, and the sea monsters were eating each other, and he's like, we're good. Qui-Gon was a badass. He just... Obi-Wan defeated Darth Maul twice. Once in the movie and once in the cartoon. Once in the comic book. Just... Obi-Wan... Okay, so... If we're talking about the movies and TV shows, Obi-Wan is my favorite character. By far. Now, if we're talking about adding the books and stuff like that, in the books in the expanded universe, you have Luke Skywalker marries somebody named Mara Jade, and she is my favorite character out of the whole universe. That's what pissed me off when Kathleen Kennedy decided there's no source material for us to draw from, so we got to make it up. It's like no.
Boba Fett from The Mandalorian, right?
Boba Fett from
he just corrected me so subtly.
What?
No, it doesn't matter. You said Boba Fett, or however you said it.
It's Boba Fett.
I think it's Boba Fett.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the way I say it.
I liked him as a character in The Mandalorian.
Well, he wasn't
in the original.
I don't think he was in The Mandalorian. He was just in the movies.
Wasn't he in The Mandalorian?
Was he?
Who
he
the
was. Yeah.
Was?
He the Boba Fett. He came in. You're right. As an old. Yeah. I remember now. Yeah. My fault.
I absolutely love The Mandalorian series.
Yeah.
And, I mean, who doesn't love Gaiku, or Baby Yoda, as most people call him?
What? That didn't sound right.
I may be wrong on the name, so don't beat me up in the comments.
Baby Yoda. Yeah, I'm Grogu. There it is, Grogu.
Yeah, I'm bad at names.
It took me a minute to remember, so...
Yeah. And these aren't any, I haven't watched any of these recently except for those three originals.
A space western. I mean, that's why, we both really enjoy Firefly.
Yeah, for the same reason.
So, it's a space western. That's what The Mandalorian is. It's great.
There's something intriguing about mixing sci-fi and space with cowboys and Western style. That just is intriguing. I think because most of us grew up with Westerns.
It's like
as
old
kids.
and
well,
new
most
mix.
of my age grew up with a lot of Westerns. The Lone Ranger and Tonto, the Magnificent Seven, the Cartwrights. What was that? That was Bonanza and all those.
I gotta be
TV
honest
shows.
with you.
That's probably your era. You were probably born Little House on the Prairie.
No, that was even after that.
That was a joke.
Well, I'm saying that
it was probably still my era, but that was more a show that girls watched.
Little House on the Prairie. Yeah. Now
I think Taylor Swift was on there or something.
Now I gotta watch it. Yeah. I was never much into westerns. TV shows, movies. What's his name? Clint Eastwood. I've never been into westerns.
Really?
I never have been.
Duck Holiday.
Hold on until Tombstone.
Oh,
Tombstone is the first
the
one.
remake of the Magnificent Seven. Excellent movie.
I haven't seen that yet either.
Dances with the Wolves.
Dances with the Wolves.
Last of the Mohicans.
Last of the Mohicans was great.
God,
but I see that. I look at
Samuel Lewis. Samuel. That's not right.
Lewis.
Samuel from Roadhouse. Samuel Elliott.
Oh, Sam Elliott. Yeah.
He was in so many westerns back in the day, and probably the epic guy's guy.
Man,
and I love the westerns. I don't watch a lot of the old ones anymore, but every now and then one will pop on. I'm like, holy shit, I haven't seen this since I was a kid. And I'll sit and watch it. But I guess I'm getting to that age too, where it's like, watch westerns.
It's either going to be westerns or World War II stuff. Yeah. It's just what happens.
Oh, I want to see the new. I was on Netflix the other day. I want to see the new. I think it's like a documentary or something, but the Einstein about the bomb.
Oppenheimer.
Yes, and there was a couple others I want to see.
Yeah, I definitely want to see Roadhouse. That's the next one I want. I need to see that one. But
but Oppenheimer's a movie, right?
Yeah.
There's also one about Albert Einstein that is a documentary, where they use some footage from back in the day, and they basically tell what he was thinking when he went through the
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
I think it was Netflix.
I watch a lot of docs.
Was that Netflix we were on the other night when we were looking for movies? Or was that?
We got a little off track there.
Perlo.
If I were to pick one scene from the original that I would say is my favorite, it's either going to be where Obi-Wan, or not Obi-Wan, Han Solo shot first in the diner place, or when he shot at Darth Vader.
You also can't get past the epic scene where Obi-Wan died.
The way he
sacrificed himself for them to get away.
Yeah. Just
you can't get past that because that's just
there's so many. There's so many. Like when Luke shows up in Jedi and he's wearing the black robe just like Anakin did in the last parts of the first episode, the prequels, and he goes in and saves Leia. I mean, it's all awesome. Now, getting to the prequels, favorite scene from the prequel. There's so many memorable ones, like from when Obi-Wan drops down when he's fighting General Grievous, and he goes, "Hello there," and he goes, "General Kenobi." You know, that's one of the most famous meme scenes.
One of my favorites is, "It's a trap!
It's a trap!"
I love saying that, and right now I'm congested, so I can't get my voice up high enough to pull it off, but I love just popping that out in the middle. People just look at you like you're crazy, because most people don't even know where it's from.
Yeah.
Unless you
know any of the
Star
pop
Wars.
culture. But you had Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory. I'm working on my impersonation, you know. It's a trap. Yeah.
That's where I knew it when he said it. I was like, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. And I had to search my head from where I know that from.
Then, but then there's so many little things in the prequels that you don't pick up right away.
Yeah.
Like when Anakin killed all the sand people, when he was going through murking them, there's a voice that you hear in the background, a very low, like background. He says, yelling, "Anakin, Anakin, no." That was Qui-Gon as a ghost. His ghost form was screaming at him. And that was when Yoda felt the disturbance, and yet everybody ignored it. I love those thing movies, man. And then once you start throwing in some of the other like the shows, like the Clone Wars, the animated one, man.
I'll tell you what. What's his name? What's the guy? Palpatine.
Yeah.
They picked the absolute perfect actor to play someone that you could so easily despise.
You just believe
he just was just a pompous blowhole that you just love to hate.
And then you
actually had a little bit of that dark side love for Darth Vader and the Darth Maul and some of the other Sith.
It's like, damn, he's badass.
But you did not have that for Palpatine. You literally hated that guy.
It's kind of like the pink lady from Harry Potter. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Yeah.
I've only seen bits and pieces of Harry Potter. I've never watched it through and through.
But then it had the dude from, I can't remember his name, the actor. He was in Sons of Anarchy. He was who was Gemma's boyfriend later on, the pimp.
Oh, you mean the Latin guy?
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is. What's his name, babe? He was on Law and Order or one of them shows too.
Yeah, he was also on The West Wing.
He was in that?
Yeah. He ended up being the president at the end of West Wing. He was voted.
No, Star Wars.
Yeah, he was he was actually the guy Organa who took Leia. Him and his wife raised Leia.
Oh, okay.
And then
I've probably seen that and just don't remember that it was him.
Yeah, and then Luke.
Because he was way younger back then.
He was younger than in Sons of Anarchy.
Well, of course he was. I mean, those were done in the 70s and 80s, and Sons of Anarchy's in the 2000s.
Yeah. He was Senator Organa, and he took.
I've always liked him as an actor.
He's a great actor, man. In The West Wing, like he played a gangster.
I've never seen The West Wing.
But that's what I'm saying. Like in Sons of Anarchy, he played a gangster.
Yeah.
But then in West Wing, he played the president. He was, he was a senator and then president. He's one of the better actors that just don't get credit.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name though. See, there you go. I'm the jerk now. I remember his character's name, but not him. But the trying to think. Do you think the prequels were? A lot of people think the prequels sucked.
I wouldn't go that far. I think they could have been done better, and I think if they would have stayed a little more along the lines of the original three, that I would have particularly liked them better. I think there's things they could have did better. But
what do you think of Hayden Christensen's
portrayal of Anakin? That's where that's not the little boy. That's the one that plays the
he plays the older. Yeah.
I think he probably played a pretty good role of where Anakin was in his head.
Yeah.
And his anger and the fact that he was always going to eventually go to the
and
dark
then
side.
He
has so much anger and so much cocky and arrogance and impatience and all the things that would open him up to the dark side. So.
See, right. So, like, what I noticed through his portrayal is anytime he's with Obi-Wan, and you could see it. You could see it when he's flying. You could see him when he's fighting, when they're facing Count Dooku. You could see him throughout the whole time when he's dealing. Anytime he's with Obi-Wan, he's more comfortable. He talks a little more cocky. He's more jokey, but it's not as wooden as any other time. But yeah, I think if you're fighting back the evil that he was fighting back, and you were trying to show that you're not evil, you're gonna be a little wooden.
Yeah.
He's fighting back the most powerful dark force there is. Palpatine being manipulated in order to try to make him into something that he wants him to be.
Yeah.
So, I think his portrayal, and he's finally getting credit for it. When they were getting ready to do the premiere of the Kenobi, the show that they did together, Hayden Christensen got a standing ovation for a few minutes, and he cried because everybody had just tore him apart for years.
No, I thought he did good. I had no problem with him. Actually, no problem to the point where he wasn't even one of the things I would ever have brought up about the show.
Not
that
even
I didn't
close. I think I agree with you when you have like Samuel L. Jackson, you have you have Yoda, then you have some of the other characters who are even more pivotal characters. I'm trying to think of his name, but I'm not going to remember it. He's a green guy with the tentacles. I can't remember his name. You have all these characters that play such huge parts in the books.
As years later, probably it was definitely around the time those movies came out, I worked at a store that sold toys. And I remember that during Christmas and during these times, the most sought after and coveted of all the little figures that came out was Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
Mace Windu. Yeah. That was the one everyone wanted.
And the coolest part,
and yet he played such a small role in the movies.
This is gonna go into real nerd
short role, I guess you'd say. Yeah. It wasn't small. His position was important, but it was not near what it should have been.
He's the driving force that drove Anakin over to the dark side. His was the pivotal decision. This is going to get into a little bit of nerd area here. There's three color lightsabers. You have the green, the blue, and red.
Yeah.
All right. So each color of the lightsaber is done with a crystal that either the Jedi, when they're younglings, they go to a cave and they get tested and they have to find their crystal.
Yeah.
And then they build their lightsaber around the crystal.
I could have sworn there was a purple one.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
So those were the original colors.
Yeah.
And so, through the colors, it determines the type of personality people have. The blue tend to be a little bit more quick to fight. The green tend to be a little bit more talkative, like Yoda versus someone else. They're like Anakin. Anakin was quick to fight, so he had a blue. And Yoda was more, more into talking and trying to figure things out instead. So he comes on, and they were like, Samuel L. Jackson, they were like, we want to give you a role on Star Wars. And he goes, the only way I'll take it is if I can have a purple lightsaber. And so then you have the red lightsaber.
That was the pimp saber.
So, the red lightsaber, it's made with a red crystal, but it's synthetic. They make the crystal. So the Sith have to make the crystal, then make their lightsaber around it. The purple is a mix between blue and red. So they chose a new fighting form, which there's several fighting forms that Jedi learn, and his fighting form teeters on the dark side and the light side. So that's why he was able to have a purple lightsaber. They made it up. Little nerdy, sorry about that, but dude, I had to do a lot of reading. Read a lot of them.
Yeah, I've not read any of the books.
But that's how he had a purple, and on top of having a purple lightsaber, it said BAMF on it. His line.
Yeah, we all know what it means.
Yeah, he's just, of course he was going to have that.
But we could go on for hours about this.
I can Star Wars for hours. I mean, we got May the 4th every year, man. We gotta save some for next year.
I hope you guys enjoyed the show.
Because we enjoyed talking about it.
I hope you guys enjoyed the new studio. Give us any comments about the show and/or about the studio. What you think?
How about this? What is your favorite movie out of the original trilogy and the prequels? And who's your favorite character? Tell us in the comments below. And make sure that you like this and subscribe to the channel.
And anything we talked about, give us your views or your thoughts on anything
Everything
that we mentioned, or our own views or whatever.
Call us out on our bullshit.
Or our inaccuracies, because like I said, we didn't just sit down and watch the whole thing just so we'd be fresh. This is, our members.
And on that note, what are they supposed to do to the bell?
Smash that bell.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Peace. Take it easy.